Just get out of their way. Everything is dirty. Shame on you, Italy. Shame on you. A couple of months ago, I moved back to Italy after living in Finland for 5 years, and I promised I would share with you some reverse culture shocks. If you missed the culture shocks video that I made a few months back, check that out maybe after this one. But just as I told you back then, we are talking about shocks, or rather things that surprised me, things I wouldn't expect or that I forgot in this case, because these are reverse culture shocks, and everything has to do with my own experience. It's personal. You might not share it, you might not understand it. Don't leave silly comments because it doesn't really make sense, and simply keep in mind that this is my experience. With that being said, let's get started. The first thing that shocked me is driving, or bus drivers in particular, but I believe this applies to most drivers in Italy, I guess, because they all are not as smooth as Finnish ones. At each stop or whenever they are accelerating, you will have to hold those handles for your life. It's so abrupt, and after a few weeks I met with some friends and they explained to me that there is a reason why they cannot possibly drive smoothly. It has to do with the engine or this specific model of buses that they are driving here in Italy, or in Trieste specifically, I wouldn't know. But most buses I've been on, even in Italy in general, because I told you I've been on a trip back in September in central Italy, and the problem was the same. So I guess, yes, okay, it has to do with the engine. But on top of that, some drivers are more delicate than others, let's say. Let me know if you've ever been to Italy. What's your experience? Were they so harsh with their driving? Was it so difficult for you to not fall, basically? Because, well, this is my personal case, but this city is an elderly city. The vast majority of the population is, I think, older than 60. And I don't know how they're doing this, because it's impossible to stand up and walk safely in a bus. I noticed this because I have joint problems, I have a whole chronic illness related to that, so I struggle way more than anybody in their 30s, I suppose. But since the population is so vastly in need of the few seats that are safe on a bus, I feel guilty if I need to sit, you know? Plus, if you don't rush towards the exit, as soon as the bus driver stops, he will just keep going. He will not wait for you, just like they do, for example, in the UK. But aside from buses, I believe that driving in Italy in general is truly problematic. Look at the amount of articles on newspapers about car or bike accidents reported every day or every other day. I wonder, how can this be acceptable? It may not be fair, but I just came back from the capital city, Helsinki, that has not had a single car accident death in over a year. If a capital city can do it, why can't a medium-sized one or a small one do the same? Why can't Italians follow the rules? Why can't they respect other human beings when they're crossing a street? When you attempt to cross a street as a pedestrian in Italy, drivers make sure you will rush. Just get out of their way. You are a problem and you must run if you want to stay alive, basically. Oh yes, I'm referring to crossing the street on the zebra crossing while the light is green. In Finland, drivers respect you. You are treated as a human being, and this struck me at first. I remember that because I didn't have to run on the zebra crossing. I didn't have to be worried all the time. A Finnish driver will treat you just like they would want to be treated. In Italy, I don't know why they don't get it. I'm truly shocked. If other countries can deal with this properly, can avoid car accidents. Why can't we here? I guess Italy is not the worst in terms of driving, but it's awful and straight up dangerous. The second thing that really shocked me, and that I probably never noticed to this degree, is that here the pollution is unbearable. You know, when you can feel your lungs getting heavier and heavier with each breath, when you can literally feel there's no clean air around you, nothing clean for you to breathe. It's awful and ridiculous how locals don't care. I know that if you've been living in the same place for ages, you stop noticing things, and that's the whole point of a culture shock video, basically. This could be cultural, but also behavioral and whatnot. But locals would rather keep smoking those fucking cigarettes, electronic or not, driving those damn scooters and cars in a city filled with cement and barely any trees. And they won't do anything about it, anything to improve the air quality. And let me tell you this, you might disagree, feel free. But I just got back from a trip to Paris, London and Oxford. And let me tell you, the air here in Trieste is 10 times more polluted. It feels way more polluted. The moment I got here, and I was wearing a mask most of the time while traveling, so while on public transport, but I could feel it. You know, I could feel pollution filling my lungs. And I get sick right away. That's another clear sign that the air sucks here. This is another reason why I barely released any videos recently, because I've been sick most of the time. And my voice, well, now it's not really good, but it's a little bit better than it used to be for the past weeks or months. And this point maybe goes with the air quality, the fact that Trieste and Italian cities in general are dirty. Dirty walls, buses, restaurants, stores, offices, you name it. Everything is dirty, as if Italians couldn't see the layers of nasty stuff all over the place. And I always wonder, do tourists see the dirt? Or the beauty of buildings and ancient relics is enough for them to not notice at first? I recently talked to a couple of friends who are traveling from the US, and they did confirm that they noticed how dirty Italy is. It's disgusting. I believe this wouldn't probably happen if the Italian culture had the same thing that Finland has, which is this basic respect for anything that belongs to everybody. This is just my guess, but I believe that if Italians had, I don't know, to care for a certain tree, a certain garden, a certain square on the street, and if they were fined, if they're not really taking care of that, they would probably do that. And cities would be clean, you know, just like they do in Japan, for example. Everybody is responsible for their tiny bit. In Finland, nobody would just litter, in particular when you are talking about the forest, but also in the city. Overall, people don't litter because everything belongs to everybody, and therefore everybody takes care of it. It's a concept that I believe Italians will never get, unless they are forced in some way, unless there's some kind of fine they have to pay, you know? It must be something that they learned, the Finns learned when they were children, and it's just part of their culture, their behavior. It's normal. Whereas in Italy, it's not. It's the opposite. If it's not mine, I don't have to care about it. Allow me to disagree. The third culture shock, let's say, is that people in Italy touch you without your consent. I knew this, but since I moved, we've all been through a pandemic. I thought people learned basic boundaries. I remember that on my second day back, An old Italian man was touching my shoulder and talking about me as if he knew me to someone else in front of me. Never seen him before. I was wearing a dress with spaghetti straps, so he was touching my bare shoulder. What made him think that this was appropriate? I was talking to two lovely people on the bench, and this dude thought he could jump in and touch a stranger. How dare you? Not even my family touches my body. Because, well, this is unrelated, but in my family we're not used to hugging or any public display of affection. Public or private, actually. We're simply not used to that. So I was really comfortable in Finland, where nobody not only would touch you, but they stay far away from you. They still respect the same rules that we all followed during the pandemic, because those were the rules long before the pandemic for them. And God, how much I love it. I love for people to be at a certain distance. It really makes me uncomfortable. And if I touch you, it's because I'm comfortable with you. If I touch your hand or something, you're my friend or something like that, there's no excuse for you as a stranger to touch me. And this is not easily avoidable, for example, on public transport, because people are packed in buses like sardines sometimes. So there are certain situations in which this is simply a fact, Italians or not Italians. But this specific example is another case of inappropriate behavior that lots of Italians have. Same as listening to music out loud in public, on the street, on the bus, and so on. I guess this has to do with not caring as much about others and public spaces, the respect for public spaces. But it's just one more behavior that really annoys me, even more so now after having lived in Finland. The fourth thing that really shocked me, even though I was prepared for it, is that bureaucracy is way worse than I remembered. I mean, it must be the reason why you shouldn't move to Italy. The bureaucracy, the paperwork, the amount of paperwork, and the ridiculous amount of time you will spend waiting for paperwork. You might think that being an Italian citizen, moving back to my own country, I would get easier access or faster access to some basic services, but no, it's not the case. For example, I told you multiple times in my videos that I have several chronic illnesses, I'm disabled, and so on. Yet, for the first 2 months, I had zero access to healthcare. No access to it, except, for the emergencies, for which you are treated no matter who you are, where you are in Europe. But I couldn't go to the dentist, I couldn't go to my doctor, I couldn't have a doctor, like what's it called, GP? This is a huge problem. When I finally got access to the healthcare system, then I had to travel because I had booked a trip. This would be unacceptable in other countries. In Finland, I had access to public healthcare long before that. I think it took a few weeks to get the Kela card, or maybe a bit longer, simply because it was July, which, if you don't know, is the month in which everything is closed, everybody is on holiday. But other than that, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I don't know if I feel like making a video about this topic because it's really annoying, but the actual process of moving back to my home country, it wasn't clear at all. It wasn't easy to follow because the rules and the process itself that are written on the official websites don't match the process that you will have to go through. So no matter how prepared you think you are, you will never be prepared for that, and you will never have the actual paperwork that you needed before that, so everything will be slower than you thought, and so on. I'm not even sharing that because it was so freaking difficult that shame on you, Italy, shame on you. Now, let me share a series of random and smaller things or facts or shocks that I noticed or got since moving back. For example, I noticed that there are lots of commercials about perfume on YouTube, which is the main platform I use, in which I'm shown a variety of ads. And this is compared to what I saw in Finland. I guess there was just a period in which they would show perfumes, but here it's been like all the time. I don't know why. I filmed several clips in the supermarkets, but I still have to collect more clips in order to make a true comparison between Finland and Italy with prices and products and whatnot. But here in Italy, there are countless cookies in the supermarket, but close to zero being both vegan and gluten-free. This was the same before moving abroad, but I thought they had improved, because here you have decent chances with gluten-free products, but only if you're officially recognized, meaning that you have a celiac disease diagnosis and an actual piece of paper proving that you've got the diagnosis. Then the government pays for your gluten-free groceries, or up to a certain amount, for example, per month. But otherwise, these products are just as expensive as they are in Finland. And often they have dairy and eggs, which is why I'm saying gluten-free, yes, it's almost easy to find, but gluten-free and vegan, no, there's no chance. Something I really didn't expect is poor signal and overall bad internet connection in random places, both in cities and in the countryside or even in the mountains. But in the mountains you would expect it. It didn't happen all the time, but it was way more than I had anticipated, especially during that trip in central Italy. I barely had any connection. Small elevators. Elevators in Italy are tiny, teeny tiny. There's no way for a Finn to safeguard their personal space in an Italian elevator. Just beware. Something I appreciated is peach-flavored things, products. For example, juice, jam, and others, because that's probably my favorite flavor. I grew up drinking peach juice, and that was my favorite, so I always had peach juice at home. And when I moved to Finland, I struggled to find that. There was only one juice, like 1 liter juice in Lidl that had that flavor, and that was good and rich. Whereas, I noticed this difference specifically in juices, because in Finland you would have more berries, of course, but also strawberry juice, which is quite rare in Italy. I don't think I've ever seen it, in those juice boxes, for example, when I was a kid. But also peach jam and other things that I simply enjoy and I look for, but I couldn't find in Finland, and I'm happy that they're easily found here. Something I forgot about is that here you have to call people sir, madam, or use a different form of the language, a different sentence, when you're talking to a stranger who is older than you and you have to pay your respects in a certain way. All that jazz, all that politeness that in Finland doesn't exist. You treat everybody with respect. But I don't know if you remember, in another video I told you about the fact that when I worked at the university, everybody was called by first name, no matter their degree or their career, Whereas here, it's tricky, because you have to remember and you have to think about, okay, this person, I don't know them, they are more important or older than me, and something like that, And since I look younger than I am, nobody ever pays respect to me. So I also forget about that. when I'm talking to someone. And it's a silly thing, but it's one of those that you notice on a daily basis. And finally, because there are so many teeny tiny things, but this is something I wonder if I'm noticing it for a specific reason, or if it's true. You will tell me. But there are way more people in Italy with a lisp. For example, whenever you hear a word with the R in it, at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, it doesn't matter. No, well, at the end we don't have it, but no matter in which context, there are so many more Italians who are unable to pronounce the R, or they pronounce it in a different way. It's a stronger or softer R, and so on, compared to Finland. And I'm not even comparing this to other countries. For example, in the UK, it would be much more common or normal, to have people who are not able to pronounce the R or pronounce it in a different way with a lisp. But in Finland, they have a stronger R than we have in Italy. So I would expect Finns to have the same problem, because the R is such a difficult sound if you're not used to it, but also if you're used to it and you never learned it when you were a kid, or you have other issues, doesn't matter. But if you just don't think about that medical reason, think of the fact that the language has a lot of R's. Why does Italy have so much more of this compared to Finland? At least as far as I notice, because I really notice it every day. Like, for example, when my mom is listening to the news, I hear every, 10 minutes, I hear someone with a lisp. Whereas in Finland, it never happened, or really rarely. So I wonder, have you ever noticed this? Is there an explanation? I don't know. I wonder. And probably I notice it even more, not only because I'm a linguist, but because my name starts with an R. So yeah, these were the first culture shocks that came to mind, and then I wrote down here in Notion. There are many more that I thought about now as I was traveling, both in central Italy and in London, Paris, Oxford. So many differences, so many things that I wish we implemented in Italy too. But I guess those are unrelated, or maybe I will just share them in those videos that are coming, or maybe one of those will be up before this one. I don't know yet. But as you can see, I really struggled with uploading videos for many reasons. I filmed a lot. I don't know how many terabytes of videos that are waiting to be edited for this channel, and I don't know, I hope you will be patient, because I have so much. I filmed a whole tramway video, I filmed several trips, as I told you, I filmed a lot of products in the supermarkets, I filmed other things at the end of summer that maybe are more useful towards the spring or something, if you're planning on visiting Italy, and so on. So there's so much. I just don't have the energy and time. As I told you, I've been sick, and now I'm filming in this little corner in a storage room, basically. I'm sorry if there's anything that bothers you in the background. It really bothers me too. I don't have a way to fix this. I try to do my best and to make it cozy, but the situation is terrible. But thank you for bearing with me. And check out my website, because I've updated the shop, and now you can get your own Finnish nature calendar, both in format A4 and A5. And there are a couple of new notebook designs too, or rather journals. So check them out. And now that you watched this, check out the video on the screen. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you won't miss my next upload. The schedule will change, so keep an eye on that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.